What's good, fight fans? Your Majesty speaking. So, the former undisputed welterweight champion of the world, ZABJUDAH, says Shakur Stevenson annihilates, demolishes, beats bark off Teofimolopez. Find out my thoughts. So, on January 1st, 2020, January 31st, my bad, 2026, the much anticipated fight, at least by hardcore boxing fans, I would say. We are glad that we are getting the opportunity to see Shakur step up and fight somebody the caliber of Teofimolopez. But on January 31st, 2026, bringing in the new year, I don't know of a fight card that's happening before that. Shakur squares off against Teofimolopez, moving up in weight, 140-pound division, his first fight. ZABJUDAH says that Shakur versus Teofimo is an annihilation. Let's see what he had to say. ZABJUDAH confirmed today that he believes Shakur Stevenson will stop Teofimolopez and make it an annihilation. Judah views Shakur as being too skilled for Teofimolopez and will show that next month. Now, let's stop right there. I absolutely agree that Teo, as good as he is not as skilled as Shakur. I happen to believe that Shakur Stevenson is the most skilled fighter in the sport. And I'm not talking about from an excitement standpoint or whatever the case, y'all. You know, I know how a lot of y'all are from a skill standpoint, from being able to control distance, being able to understand his range, being able to hit and not be hit. Great feet, can fight going forward, can fight going back. I believe he is the most skilled fighter in the sport right now. With Terrence Crawford out, I absolutely believe it. He states that Lopez has never fought anyone like Shakur Stevenson in his career. Once again, absolutely true. It is a bold statement as Teofimo has fought Vasyl Lomachenko and Jermaine Ortiz, which I believe, granted, I don't like to take credit away from fighters because I believe fighters deserve credit for their wins and stuff like that. But if I'm being honest and I'm being fair, I thought Vasyl Lomachenko waited 7-8 rounds before he got started. And once he got started, you could see that Lomachenko was actually a better fighter than Teofimolopez. If I'm not mistaken, I think he said he had a shoulder injury. I'm not sure how true that is. But once we seen Vasyl Lomachenko let his shit go, let his hands go, he was kind of whooping Teo's ass. Jermaine Ortiz is another fight that I thought Teofimo lost. I think that Teofimo has issues with movers and guys who can actually be slick. I think Teo is at his best when he is the slick fighter, which is why I believe that Shakur Stevenson will win. And granted, I will give a more detailed, a more in-depth breakdown of the fight once we get closer to that time. Once I've had time to watch, you know, more, well, not watch, because I've seen pretty much all of Teo's fights. I've seen all of Shakur's fights, but pretty much be able to study what they do well, what they do, you know, what I think each fighter will be able to take advantage of, you know, on the next fighter. I'll get more in depth with it on those videos as we get closer to the fight. Those were two skilled fighters with mobility, whom Teo triumphed over. Once again, we know boxing is rigged. They never give fighters like Jermaine Ortiz the nod. We just watched Nakatani lose, and because they want that Nakatani and Inoue Inoue fight, they gave him the fight when we all know he got whooped. He dealt with the mobility and the hand speed of Jermaine quite well last year. I disagree. I thought Jermaine Ortiz, while he was moving a lot and he was on his bike, I don't think Teo was able to catch up with him. If I'm not mistaken, that was on that card where they was promoting Teo as like a showman or some shit, and he had the outfit on where it looked like a circus. Um, I don't think Teo looked particularly well that fight. I don't think he looked particularly well in the Sandor Martin fight. I think Teo or in the George Kambosos fight. And granted, I know George Kambosos is one of those fights where you go into it thinking you know this or that, but once again, as a fighter, you should never do that. And he didn't look good in that fight. I think Teo is a very dominant force, which is true, but I just feel that the skills of Shakur will overwhelm Teo. He's never seen this type of action before yet, says ZABJUDAH, predicting that Shakur will be too much for the WBO lightweight champion. I definitely agree. I believe that Shakur has multiple ways to be able to fight this fight. One thing I've noticed about Shakur is he's going to be very, very cautious in the first 3 or 4 rounds. And as you should when you fighting somebody that good. I've heard Shakur tell Abdullah Mason the night that he got dropped in the first round, if I'm not mistaken, or that night when he got dropped a couple of times. And he was saying, like, you know, in the earlier rounds, this was Shakur telling Abdullah Mason this. In the earlier rounds, you got to be careful because everybody got popped. Everybody got power in the first 2, 3, 4 rounds. You got to understand as you grow in the game that you can't just always go out there in the first round and look for a knockout. And with Shakur giving him that advice, I know he's going to take his own advice going into this fight with Shakur. I mean, with Teo. So I can expect Shakur to be very, very cautious and not give Teo much in those first rounds. The way the former 2 division world champion Judah describes Shakur, he makes him sound like he's a phenom. He actually is. In reality, he is a phenom. And I think people's definition of a phenom may differ, but Shakur is one of those fighters who is a generational fighter. Believe it or not, he may not be the most exciting fighter or whatever the case may be, but if you look at his skills, you take a Tim Duncan or somebody like that. Tim Duncan wasn't flying around. He wasn't jumping from the free throw line. He wasn't pulling tray balls from West Africa. But fundamentally, he was a phenom. And I think people got to understand what that actually means. Back to this. In reality, Stevenson is more of a blue collar type of fighter who pecks and moves. Exactly. He has never fought that way at the elite level. When he does get knockouts, it's against fighters who are fringe level, like Josh Padley. I absolutely agree. He did stop Jamel Herring, but I just think he was so much better than Jamel Herring that you know it didn't matter. Now I think um I think this is where I disagree with ZABJUDAH. I don't think that Shakur is going to stop Teo. That does not mean that he can't. But based on what I see from Shakur, I see Shakur controlling the distance, making Teofimo, you know, miss and making him pay and frustrate him and making, you know, trying to get Teo out of his game plan and make him do some shit that he don't want to do, which could bring on a knockout. I just don't see it. So for Stevenson to come out looking to blast Teo on the 31st, it would be a mistake because he could run into a big shot and get hurt. Absolutely. I think I just said that further up that Shakur is going to be very cautious in this fight. I can't see Shakur fighting Teofimo like he did William Zepeda. He would be stupid. I also can't see him fighting Teo like he did Edwin De Los Santos either, because I don't believe that was Shakur Stevenson. I believe that his hand was hurt. I believe that he found a way to get through that fight because I've never seen him fight like that before. Yeah, I've seen him be more cautious with what's his name, Nakatilia or whatever the case may be, but I've never seen Shakur fight like that for me to say, oh, that's how he fights. I was actually at the fight when he fought Hartunian, and he was on the walk down. Hartunian was a good fighter who I thought, had he not got knocked down or knocked out versus Frank Martin, would have beaten Frank Martin. So granted, I don't agree with Zab as far as he's going to stop him. Once again, doesn't mean that he won't. In the same interview, Judah was reminded about his previous prediction that Shakur will stop Teo. Zab then confirmed he predicted that, saying annihilation. The fight is going to be a lot closer than we think. We're just blabbering our mouths and running off what we think our professional opinion is, said Judah. I agree, because like I said, we all do. A knockout will help Stevenson. He needs a win like this to create demand for bigger fights in 26. I disagree. I don't think he needs a knockout. I just think Shakur needs to go out there and beat him. Shakur needs to go out there and get the win. And let me say this while it's on my mind, because that just reminded me of something. And this is to Shakur. If you ever see this video, I'm not sure if you will or if you won't. The object of boxing is to win. It don't matter how you win, because in reality, if you win enough, people won't have a choice but to come around. If you get out here and you start trying to listen to what these people are saying and trying to do what they want you to do to please them, and then you lose, they're going to throw you to the wolves. You know what I'm saying? And a perfect example of that is, I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Yes, I'm from DC, but I love the Eagles. I'm DC everything else, but I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan when it comes to football. If you look at Jalen Hurts, and this is a perfect comparison, Jalen Hurts doesn't do anything particularly spectacular except win. If you notice, it don't matter if he throw for 150 yards, if he throw for 450 yards. When it's all said and done, the object is to win. They had everything to say about him, and then he goes and win the Super Bowl, and guess what? It quiets down because nobody can talk when you're winning. And then you look at this year, he's had a few bad games, they talk trash. But if we go back and win the Super Bowl again, eventually it's going to shut out. You know what I'm saying? Eventually it's going to shut out. And I think, Shakur, you're so good of a fighter to where you can win these fights easily. And once again, don't forget, and a lot of people bring up Floyd because they don't really have a huge boxing history or a huge library of fighters who they can call on doing certain things. But don't forget, Floyd Mayweather became a star because people did not like him. People wanted to see, majority people wanted to see him lose. So as long as you win, that is the end all be all. It don't matter how you win, as long as you win, because you're already at a level 3 division, working on 4 division champion, Olympic silver medalist, whatever the case. You've already gotten to a place where you don't have to go out here and be particularly super exciting. Of course, fighters going to say, oh, what I need to fight him for, he boring, he this or he that. But when it's all said and done, as long as you win, that is the object. Trust me, you take that with you, you're going to go a long way, my brother. Let me see what he says. Shakur said after his last fight with William Zepeda that he's not going to stand and brawl with his opponents again. That comment suggests that he's going to return to his amateur style of hitting and not getting hit approach. Fighting like that makes it less likely he'll get a knockout. I definitely agree. And I believe that that's his best bet, especially early on. I believe that he should go out there, be Shakur Stevenson, pick and choose your shots, get his timing down, control the distance like you normally do, pick and choose when you're going to attack and when you're not, frustrate him, hold him, tie him up, go back to the center of the ring, stab him to the body, make him miss, make him pay. That's the recipe. That's the recipe. You go in there trying to be tough and trying to prove that it's not Tom and Jerry, you end up looking up at the sky, smelling salt, and you don't know what the fuck happened. And then you look up, these same fans, same motherfuckers that's talking shit about you running and all this shit, gonna forget what the fuck you forget that you was ever who the fuck you said you was, a la Adrian Broner. You know, that's what it ends up. But guess what? If you continue to win, no matter how it looks, people gonna watch you because they hate you. They're gonna watch you because because they love you. But I disagree with that ending part of ZABJUDAH's statement as far as him thinking Shakur is gonna get the stoppage. Once again, if he go out there and get the stoppage, more power to him. You know what I'm saying? But I don't believe he have to. You know what I'm saying? Teo is a great fighter. It's not a bad thing if you go in there and get a win and don't stop Teofimo. Teofimo, he ain't no trash. He ain't no sorry. You know what I'm saying? He ain't no sorry dude. You know what I'm saying? My only thing is Shakur gonna get credit if he beat him the way he feel like beating him, or whatever? You know, if he beat him in a manner that people think is boring, is he gonna get credit for it? But shit, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. Let me know if y'all agree with Zab. I agree with Zab all the way up until the last part. Let me know if you agree with me, whatever the case may be. If you got your own opinions, put them in the comments. Be sure to like, comment, and sub to the video. And also, if you have not followed my socials, please do so. They are in front of you. And until next time.